About, somebody being shot.
They're coming in locked and loaded.
They're coming in hot. They're gonna come in. They have no idea who you are. They don't know if you're the bad person. They don't know if they don't know anything. If they sit there and they see you with that firearm in your hand, you may get shot. So the best thing to do is just unload it, put it off to the side, put it in a completely different room than you and your family, and make sure you explain the situation. Just comply. Okay, so we'll move on to collecting. I actually just went to the gun show yesterday and met up with a buddy who collects old European, Japanese, Eastern Europe, Middle East rifles, Mosin-Nagants, stuff like that. So, and I never saw the reason to do it, but he enjoys it and he has a lot of fun. He has a ton of knowledge. That's just crazy. He starts talking to you and he loses me. I have no idea. And then the last one we have is exercising your constitutional right. Just for that reason, you have a gun because it's your right. And you say that to somebody, especially a liberal, and they're like, oh, well, whatever. That's just a stupid reason, but it's not.
Certain judges.
Yeah. Okay, so does everybody know the types of pistols that we have? Or actually, I won't say pistols, I'll say handguns. Types of handguns that we have. There are two main branches, and then there are sub-branches off of each. So we have the semi-automatic, and we have the revolvers. Alright, so we have, and the semi-automatic, not only do we have single action and double action and single action only, we have what the newer models is striker fire, which is what I have right here, and those two are both striker fire as well. It's basically they don't have a hammer, they're hammerless, so they just have a striking pin that comes back and pokes forward, hits the primer,
and
it's charged.
Double action only.
Bang, makes the gun go boom. Revolvers, we have single action, double action. This is a double action revolver. Double action revolvers can actually be shot single action. Simply pulling back the hammer puts it into single action. But you do not have to pull back the hammer. On double action, you do not have to pull back the hammer before squeezing the trigger. You can squeeze that trigger, it'll pull the hammer back while also rotating the cylinder. They call it double action, but it's actually three actions. It's pulling the hammer back, squeezing the trigger, you pull the hammer back, it rotates the cylinder, and then it pushes the hammer forward again. So I guess they just include the rotating cylinder and pulling the hammer back the same action because it's one moving action. It's happening simultaneously. So revolvers, I actually was not into revolvers until very recently, until I started teaching the class actually. My father had a Super Blackhawk 44, which was just it's a big gun. It's single action, a lot of fun. But I tell you, it's got quite the kick on it. Since then I've shot bigger guns, but that was the first one I shot when I was really young when I shot that. So that was the big thing. So I never got into them. I like semi-automatics. I think they're better for personal defense. In certain situations, revolvers happen to be, they say, appeal to females more than women because they come
much simpler,
smaller. They have new ones now that are a little different. They have revolvers that are like just two-shot revolvers, so it's just real quick.
Really?
It's like that big.
Like a Derringer.
Fit anywhere, you can literally put it anywhere. You can not even fit in women's pockets. They're that small. So I know revolvers tend to, for self-defense, revolvers tend to appeal to women more. I also know that revolvers are actually used more for hunting more than semi-automatics. Just because the calibers are a little bit bulkier, usually. Not to say that they don't have small calibers. They do have small calibers. I mean, I have a 22. They make pretty sure I think Ruger makes a 17 HMR. That's that's a revolver. So
I would think probably because you can put scopes Scope's
yep.
easier on those than you do on your.
Yeah, you can put a full size scope on those. I've seen people try to do it on these too, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
well.
no.
Do you guys know the three parts of both revolvers and semi-automatics? The three parts. So you have the frame, the action, and the barrel. All right. So we'll go with the semi-automatic first. All right. So we're clear. There's no ammunition in it. All right. No magazine. All right. So you have the frame, which is made up of the pistol grip. You have right here, and the housing for the action. So you have the trigger guard, the magazine well, and there's grips. There's two grips. There's the left grip and the right grip. Those are separated. You can actually customize. A lot of pistols come with different customizations. Mine does. My MP9 comes with different back straps. So if you have a bigger hand, it's got a bigger back strap. If you have a smaller hand, it has a smaller back strap. I use the medium one because I don't have big hands for a guy, but I have big hands for a female. So, all right. So then we have the action, which is made up of the trigger, the chamber, the slide. So you have the slide that you would use to that when you shoot in semi-automatics, gases that create blow back the slide, eject the round that's in the chamber, and then when it comes back forward, it grabs another round, puts it into the chamber. All right, and then you have the barrel, which is made up of the regular barrel, whether they come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, material that they're made out of. We have the barrel itself. You have the muzzle, and then inside the barrel, you have what's called rifling, which all that does is it creates a twist for the round that gives it more accuracy, more velocity. They found that back in the old days when they just shot round balls, went out the barrel, they were fairly inaccurate. They found that all you got to do was take one of those, add a little bit of spin to it, and it becomes 10 times more accurate. So good on that person, whoever invented that. All right. Also in the frame is the rear sight, and then the barrel is the front sight. On two of mine, we don't use the rear sight or the front sight because I have red dots on both of those. Those are the ones that you guys will be using to qualify, unless you guys want to use the revolver, which I have no problem with that either. But on the revolver, we have the same situation. We have the frame, we have the action, and we have the barrel. All right. Same thing. Frame, you have both hand grips, the trigger guard. The action, you have the hammer. You have the cylinder, which contains chambers. This one is a 10 shot, so this one has 10 chambers in it. And then you have the barrel, which has, in the frame, you also have the rear sight post. The barrel, you have the front sight post, the muzzle, the rifling, just like that. The only difference is on semi-automatics, the chamber is actually in the back of the barrel, whereas in a revolver, the action is the chambers are in the cylinder, which is part of the action. All right, so you would just put that over like that. After you load it, you have the cylinder release latch, which is just right there. You push that forward, you pop it out. All right. And then for the action, you also have to remove rounds. If you tip it upside down and they don't come out, push on that rod, they pop right out in your hand. These are easier to clean up because you can drop them all in your hand, so it's nice. Other than that, that's it for parts. Any questions on those? We have rules that you have to obey. You should always follow those rules, always. When you go to different ranges, though, other ranges have different rules. They will have those rules, but they will have other rules as well. So we'll go over those. This will also go over safe usage and storage rules. We'll do them both simultaneously. That's what this poster has on it. So rule number 1, know your target and what lies beyond. All right, that's important. You know where you're shooting. You know what lies beyond. On ranges, any range I've ever been to, it's if there is any sort of live creature, no matter what it is, On the range, you can't shoot. Ceasefire, even during hunting season. And how to do it. Know how to use the gun safely. That's not one of the main rules. Obviously, that's why you're taking this class. You guys are learning the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude to do that. Be sure the gun is safe to operate. Again, obviously, just general maintenance. Every time you shoot it, clean it. Use only the correct ammunition. That goes without saying. Wear eye and hearing protection as appropriate. Again, we'll do that. I don't know if you guys have your own stuff. I see that you have your own ears. If not, I do have that stuff. I have plenty of it, so don't worry about that. Never use alcohol or drugs before or while shooting. Obviously, it goes without saying. Store guns so they're not accessible to unauthorized persons. Yeah, that's the big one nowadays, because that seems to be the problem. People are taking their mother's gun. People that are mentally estranged and have problems. It's sad. It's a tragedy whenever life is taken, especially innocent life, especially young life. There's just no excuse for it. There are just as much people that own the firearm are just as much responsible as the next person that committed the crime.
Know where your gun is at all times.
I believe that.
It's like your children.
I believe that fully. I read a study where they did a family with permission from other parents. They did a social experiment with other kids. And I'm actually surprised they actually were allowed to do this. What they did was they had a party for their son. Their son was raised with guns, raised around them, knew not to touch them, not to go look at them. So when they invited the kids over, with permission from the parents, they left a firearm out on the table without any ammunition, open, and just sat there. And throughout the party, every single one of those kids, besides the one that lived there, went over, played with it, picked it up, touched it, played with it, and they recorded the entire thing. So it was a good social experiment. I agree with it 100%. I know a lot of people are skeptical about it because there's always that what if, what if that kid knew how to get ammunition, knew where ammunition was, put it in there and started shooting people.
There's your Columbine again.
Yeah, which would be, again, a tragedy. But I agree with it. It was good because it allowed the parents of the other children to really sit down and think about how they raise their kids or how they treat them around firearms. Obviously, they didn't have firearms in their house. Usually, if you have a firearm in your house, chances are you are pro-gun. You let your kids, you teach your kids about them from a young age. I had a gun in my hand probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. I had a gun in my hand. Just like a little BB gun or an airsoft gun, something like that. Even something like that. But even that, you can learn the fundamentals. You can learn the safety. You can learn everything of that from a very young age. And if you do that, you don't have crime. You have less chance of them committing a violent crime or a violent crime being committed to them because they know how to protect themselves. They know what they're doing. They know, that they know what needs to be done. They know that they need to keep the ammunition here. They need to keep the firearm here. They know they shouldn't have it loaded, with the exception of stuff that is strictly for personal protection.
You got all these internet games that you're shooting bad guys, and there's no reality between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Which is another thing that people bring up all the time. They try to say that video games does this, video games do that. I played video games when I was young. I never seemed to be a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I was raised around firearms. It's all about
the real thing. Yeah.
It's sad, the stuff that goes on. It's sad that people are trying to use, make excuses for the bad things that people do.
Right.
One excuse that is good, though, is parental guidance.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. If you're raised right, you don't have that problem.
Right.
It just seems to go, unless you are, unless you do have mental issues, which that's a whole other issue that we don't need to branch out on. The last one for this poster is be aware that certain types of guns and many shooting activities require additional safety precautions. Again, that goes to depending on where you are. You have to make sure you obey the range's rules because they just won't let you come back. They'll
Right.
kick you out and they won't let you come always keep your finger. This one says always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. I always say keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. That's just a military thing.
Register.
So all that is just that.
And register.
That's the position you want to be in. Because if you put it down here, you always have the chance to go in there, and again, mistakes happen. They happen with the most seasoned people. It just happens. Bad things happen. Always keep the gun loaded until ready to use. For the purposes of shooting on a range, you will, no matter what range you go to, they won't. Unless you have a hot range, what's called a hot range. You will not be able to have your firearm loaded until you get to the line, until they tell you to. There are hot ranges, abandoned hot range shoots. They're a lot of fun. It's more like tactical stuff where something happens, you don't know when it's going to happen, something happens, then you have to deal with it. So those are a lot of fun, but again, those are a big safety issue. Those are only allowed, only certain ranges are allowed to do it. They have to have probably a state license to do it, and it's not an open shoot. It's for people that are members of that club that have done it before, or prior military, or active military, or police, prior police. All right. So lesson 2 would be maybe I need to go to the bathroom or anything.